and experience and understanding of what that SOAP service is for doing automated reporting. So currently that's the way you do it. You do it through a SOAP service. We're going to be migrating that to a REST-based endpoint, creating an API that's a little bit more robust, and moving forward a little bit cleaner, a little bit faster. It aligns well with our web technology stack that's supporting this new platform. The key difference really being that you'll be reporting your production data to the REST endpoint in a format called JSON. I don't want to get too deep into the technical weeds here, but it does serve some level of information, versus XML. So JSON, it's a little smaller, it's faster, so if you have a whole bunch of systems, 10,000 some odd systems you're reporting for, this should be a little bit more efficient overall. Again, the technologies align with this deployment pattern of web-based technologies. I guess they kind of explain it that data provided to a SOAP service, which you currently do for automated reporting, is a lot of information, a lot of handshaking that goes on back and forth. With the REST endpoint, which we're deploying now to replace this eventually, it'll be much more efficient, faster. Now, accessing this is going to be very similar to the SOAP service, right? You're going to have to be authorized and authenticated to get to it. The data that you report is validated, right? First, we're going to check to make sure that you have the rights for the system you're reporting. We're going to check to make sure your syntax is correct. And then we're going to check the data against the validation algorithms to make sure that it makes sense. All that will be served up through REST endpoints. They're called API endpoints. And these two, the two methods of auto reporting via the SOAP service and via the new REST endpoints will be supported in parallel for a short amount of time. So I think at this point we're looking at somewhere around 6 months, but we'll identify that date soon, which gives you a little bit of ramp up time to get used to the system, test your own protocols and procedures for submitting the data, and get used to the new API.
So Mark, just to stop you for a second, I just want to
Sure.
remind folks on the line that we do have a beta testing program going on right now to test out the new API. Those of you on the line who are participating in that beta program, I'd really encourage you to work with our team to test out the API, so that we can work out any potential bugs or just get your input on that process.
Yeah, absolutely right, Dale, and that's definitely a big request right now. So any additional feedback, let's get it soon. Again, I was looking at a different slide. I'm catching up with you now, Dale. It is an authorization, an authentication-based access. So you will be required to provide a key to get at the API to report your data, and you'll just have to work with customer service to obtain those keys. And then we'll give you all the coordinates and information that you need to then consume the API, i.e. report your data through it. An important element of this is that we have a new validation routine for the data itself. So I think working with Cadmus, CEC has come up with a pretty robust means to validate the data coming in, making sure it makes sense given the time of year and the amount of production report being reported. Now, your data that you will be submitting through this API will all be communicated back and forth to you via email. So we'll post you an email saying, yep, we got your data in. We'll post you an email saying, yep, your data looks good syntactically and you have the rights to report against it. And we'll also let you know which systems failed validation and which ones passed validation. So there's a whole lot of communication that happens both via email, but also by the API endpoints themselves. So to facilitate the process of using the API, we've established 5 different endpoints. So you can request a list of the active systems for which you can report. You can also request the last meter reading for one or many systems that you report for. And we also have an endpoint to test your post. So you can send the data up there and have it validated, and we'll send you the results, but we're not saving it. So this is a way for you to kind of validate your data, make sure it's good before you post it. And then there's the actual post, which will validate your data again, of course, and we'll actually save it to the database. You can also request a submission status. So the validation of all or the validation status of all the data that you have submitted. So these are, again, endpoints that you can consume, right? You can write code against to do your automated reporting. So currently, the routine for obtaining a key is managed by SEC, and potentially we can automate this in the future. We're looking into routines for that, but for now you'll have to contact MassEEC and request a key, and we'll get that to you. You can resubmit your production reporting data for a system, but only twice. So we're going to let you submit valid data. If it validates, great, and you can submit again for the same system, and basically it's the last one in wins. All right, so last one in, last valid submission in is the one that's recorded. Now, as your data is submitted, it's also validated, just to make sure it's within proper upper and lower bounds. And these systems, these reportings can fail 3 times per system, right? You can try and report in a couple times. It may fail validation. You can try again, fail validation, and then it'll be locked out. So we have some security measures in here. And again, a lot of email communication happens in the back end here. So Dale, you want to move next?
Yep.
So again, we know that there's a ramp up time to this, to using the new REST-based API versus the SOAP service. But it will be deprecated in the future, so you need to start planning for that. And again, we're standing by to support that. But they will run in parallel for a period of time. So data reported through the SOAP system will essentially do some of the work moving forward, right? It'll do some authentication and authorization of the reported data. It'll do some syntactic checking of the data that you're sending in, but then it's going to send it over to the new API so we can leverage the new validation routines. The point being is that you'll be able to report through the SOAP service for a number of months coming, but you'll be able to view that data in the new platform, and it will also be leveraged against the new validation routines. Again, the communication here is SOAP is an old XML syntax. The API will be new JSON format, and your communication from your reported data will be coming from the new platform. So to give you a place to ramp up, there will be an available staging environment. Again, you'll have to sign up for a key for that. This will be in addition to the production environment. So you'll be able to go ahead and, you know, if you're trying to write the new code that will consume this API, you can do it against our staging environment without concern about affecting real data. It's important to note that you cannot use both services to report production data for the same system. So you can go ahead and continue to use a SOAP service until you're ready to cut over to the new API. Or you can just go ahead and make the cut over to the API just as soon as you're able. But you cannot report through both.